start. Good evening, good morning, good day, everyone. Welcome to the Cluster API Provider AWS office hours on Monday, the 28th of October. Just a reminder, we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct. This essentially means be nice to each other and show respect. Daniel has shared the meeting notes. If you could add yourself to the list of attendees and also add any agenda items you'd like to discuss during the call. Also, we give the opportunity at the beginning of the meeting for anyone that wants to. There's no pressure, you don't have to. And if this is your first meeting, just to unmute and say hello and introduce yourselves. But there is no pressure, so we normally just give that a few minutes. So feel free to say hello if you want to.
Hello, friends. I'm Julio, working from Red Hat Spain, and I'll be working on implementing dedicated hosts on OpenShift. So just got started on that and not sure what the current state is. So just getting my first steps in the project and getting to know you all. Thank you.
Welcome, Julio.
Hi everyone, I'm Sergey. I'm working from Mirantis. Not sure the exact project right now, but I'm here to help, I guess, fix bugs and all of it.
Hey, Shane. Welcome. Cool. If there were any agenda items or items that people would like to discuss, please add them now. I'm gonna add some myself.
Yeah, but do we have write permissions to?
So if you don't have write permissions now, so what you have to do is there's this Google group here. Oh no, I don't know. We'll have to just scroll up. There's a Google group. If you join that Google group there, that essentially then gives you access to edit this document. But I can also add the agenda item if you want for today. If that would help.
Yeah, probably I can try to add. If not, I'll ask you. Thank you. You already did. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it would be good to request that though, because all of the cluster API documents are generally shared to that group. It's like community standard. So yeah, feel free. Cool. So on with the agenda. So there's no PSAs this week, which is good or bad, depending on the way you look at it. So if we move on to the agenda items, so the first one is from me. So we've had a issue probably for the last 6 weeks now with the old AMIs. So AMIs for Kappa were published to an account that was owned by VMware. Those AMIs have now fully disappeared. Most of them were deleted via the whatever the time to live on the images was, but then I think pretty much all of them have gone now. So we do have some new AMIs available. If you want to use those currently with the current release of Cluster API or Kappa, you have to explicitly set the AMI ID just because we are still waiting for a new release. So there is actually an issue. Let me put it into here. Just a second. Here we go. Daniel, I'm just going to drop this in a second. So if you go to that link there, so if you want to use the new AMIs, essentially you're going to have to just set the AMI explicitly on your AWS machine template, and you can query a list of available AMIs by explicitly specifying the owner ID on cluster AWS ADM. Now this won't be required when the 2.7.x release is available, because that will have updated the owning account within Kappa. So you only have to specify the Kubernetes version for a version that we publish AMIs for. But until that time, you can follow this method here to get access. Also to note, there is going to be a new AMI policy. So I'll also drop a link into the chat here as well. Of course. And I'm going to drop a link in as well. So that we've historically said that you shouldn't be using the public AMIs for production environments. So we've just explicitly set out an AMI publication policy that basically just summarizes that hey, don't rely on these AMIs for production. You should build your own AMIs using the image builder project, or copy these ones if you want to into your own AWS account. And it also sets how many versions of AMIs we'll keep. So currently we're saying 3 major minor versions. This may change, but this is initially what we are thinking. We can't historically go back and publish all of the versions that were in that original account from VMware. So we're starting from basically a clean AWS account. So it's going to take some time to build up the versions that are available. Cool. Any questions on that before we move on? No. Cool. So we can move on to the next agenda item. So Serhi, would you like to bring up the discussion?
Yeah, nothing to share. The screen. But I can talk through, I guess. So Miratis builds right now project with different Kappas, right? And one of them is Amazon. And during the development, we hit one bug that is not really Kappa related, I guess. But during the investigation, I noticed that for at least EKS clusters, when you try to delete the cluster and you have endpoints, VPC endpoints in there that are basically can be owned by a Kappa, right? If you tag them, it won't delete them because like the code path is basically checks for S3 buckets there for non-managed control plane, and only in that case it will work. So I did a quick test, just like plugging in quick code and checking basically in the code if this is a managed cluster, and if it does, just skip the test. And it works fine. Basically, you can create any kind of VPC in any way and just tag them, and Kappa will own them and delete them. So I suggest we just remove that code, basically the check for S3 packets. It seems like shouldn't impact anything like majorly. It doesn't work right now in EKS, and it shouldn't break other non-managed clusters. I can prepare a pair.
Yeah. So Spencer, he also had a discussion via Slack. So there's a couple of ways. I actually say this is another idea that I also thought of that we could potentially do as well. So one option is we could explicitly add VPC endpoint management into Kappa. I know we do it there just purely if you enable ignition, we create the S3 VPC endpoint and then supposed to delete it when you delete as well. But then I guess one question is, would it be helpful if we had the ability in the API to create other VPC endpoints, and then when we come to delete, then we just delete the ones that were owned by Kappa, is one. We also have the garbage collection feature, which we are going to promote, which is supposed to also delete anything that was created, wasn't it, via this cluster, like load balancers and things like that. So we could also check in the garbage collector for any VPC endpoints that were owned by the Kappa cluster as well.
I may be wrong, but I think garbage collection code starts before deletion of network resources. So if basically the cluster is stuck on deletion because of dangling endpoint that is bound to VPC, it will just kept stuck there, and you just can't unstuck it via Kappa right now. So you need to go manually and delete it.
Yeah.
So basically the problem was like this. There is a guard duty in the region that creates VPC endpoints. In the scope of this specific project, all the rules are related to cluster, right? So ideally, these endpoints should be owned by Kappa. So some of like human operator will put a tag on them, and after deletion, other human operator, right? If he wants to delete the cluster, the Kappa should just clean all of it up. If the tag is there. And current check that you showed previously just blocked this for managed clusters just entirely. It's just a no option for them because there is no bucket there, like intentionally in code. So it just returns null every time.
Yeah. I don't know what Daniel thinks, but yeah, I think it would be fair that if a VPC endpoint has the Kappa owned tag, whether a Kappa added it is, itself or whether that was a human operator, then it'd be safe to delete. Could add that.
Yeah, this is exactly my point. So there is no specific requirement how the tag went into basically endpoint. It can be automated somewhere else, or like just a human put it there. But for deletion, I would expect Kappa to handle it.
Yeah. I also think it would be good if we had the ability to create other or specify other VPC endpoints to be created as part of cluster creation as well. So if you wanted the, I don't know, SSM or SSM endpoint, VPC endpoint, you could specify that as well and get that created. So I don't really want to split this into two. But I think, yeah, probably feels like a good change to me. Anyone else have any thoughts? Go for it, Dan.
No, I was just wondering if I summarized it correctly. I'm not sure that I did. So if you want to correct my my notes in the doc, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good. Cool. Yeah. So if you want to do if you're happy to do a PR.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. No problem.
Cool. Yeah, and feel free to ping me, and I can help review it.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Do we want an issue as well, just to kind of describe the problem?
Yeah, we'll create the issue and link call today. for reference.
Thank you.
Good shout, Daniel, as well. Cool. Any more on that topic?
No, I think that's all.
So moving on to the next agenda item. So I'm currently in the release of doing the 2.7.0, well, 2.7 release. 2.7.0 failed because of an issue with Customize and Go versions. So the next slightly release is 2.7.1, but it will be a 2.7.x release, and this will have the new AMI stuff in there. So hopefully by the end of my day, it should be there, all being well. And if anyone interested, the issue was that Google Cloud, we use Google Cloud Builder to build our images. They haven't got the latest version of v1.22 Go, whereas Customize 5.5.0 requires Go 1.22.7. There you go. Yeah. So that's the problem. All right. Gilo, you have the next agenda item.
Yeah, I was just curious if the dedicated host support is there or not, or partial, if anybody has some information before I start working on that.
Well, that's a good question. I don't remember seeing it myself.
Yeah, I saw that there is a field, well, dedicated hosts is so that all the instances that run on a specific host are yours, and you can assign specific instances to specific hosts. So I saw that there is a way to specify that you want dedicated tenancy, but no way to set the ID of the dedicated host that you want or anything like that. So I thought it might be partially implemented, but I'm painfully new, so I'm not really sure how far that was or if there is something different.
Yeah. Go for it, Daniel.
Can you explain a little bit more about, what do you mean by dedicated hosts, and when you're talking about hosts and instances?
Yeah, so EC2 has this feature, dedicated hosts, where in the run instances call, you can set the host ID and your instances will run on that specific host. I'll be implemented, same thing on Azure and other providers as well, but here being AWS. And I'll expose that, I should expose that on OpenShift side. So add a field to the installer that will set that on Kappa, that will set that on the run instances call when it happens. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't seem to think any issues either, really.
Yeah. The only, if you search for dedicated on the code base, there is a tenancy option, but I think that's only, I don't know if that's really used.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a little bit of a difference between dedicated instances and dedicated hosts. So I'm not sure what kind of dedicated that tenancy is. So it's maybe that.
Yeah, who added the tendency? Who was that? On the Nadir and Shivani. Yeah, unfortunately, both of those people. So Nadir was one of the original maintainers, and Shivani was, and they both worked at VMware, but they haven't been involved with Kappa for a long time. So I think a lot of the knowledge in that area has probably departed with them.
No worries. So I'll be working on that then.
Cool. Daniel, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious what was the motivating use case, like the main one?
Well, it's usually around compliance. People need to say, I want to buy IBM DB2 or Microsoft SQL Server or whatever software I need to buy, and that software is licensed by core, and you need to know exactly that the instance that it's going to run has those 4 cores and not like or however many cores the host has, like some things. That is one, like usually licensing most of the time that I see. The other one is compliance security. Like I want to know exactly where this highly sensitive workload is going to run. Like I want it on this specific host. A bit more paranoia, enterprise paranoia than anything else. But anyway, customers need it on OpenShift, so I got that task.
So for the compliance, so this is interesting. So when you're saying dedicated host, you're saying a host where EC2 will run the VM.
Exactly.
So
The physical host.
You might have multiple, or presumably you will have multiple VMs running on the host, but the software that you're licensing is not, or sorry, the software that you're using is not licensed by vCPU. It's licensed by the physical cores.
Yeah, or for some reason you need to know, you can't change from the machine. You need to be on that specific host. Okay. Because on dedicated instances, you get the guarantee that you won't have neighbors, but you can't assign. The difference is that EC2 lets you allocate a resource, a host, and gives you an ID, and then you pass that ID to the run instances call, and you're guaranteed to run on that host.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it's probably one more field, one more argument to add to the spec. Not sure how that works entirely in the project, but it's one argument more to the run instances call.
One thing that, and I think you're right. It's another sort of parameter when you create the VM. The one other part of the API that might be relevant are failure domains, and I don't know how there might be an interaction, but just conceptually, I think
good call.
Right now, no, it might. I don't know. It might not matter. I think right now we for us failure domains are availability zones. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So then a dedicated host is within an availability zone. So
yeah,
as long as the EC2 API doesn't let you specify a dedicated host that's in a different, I'm sure you can't say, oh, I want a VM in availability zone A, but then choose a dedicated host in availability zone B.
No.
Yeah, so there's probably it's not going to be an issue, but it's just something that crossed my mind.
Yeah. Cool.
Brilliant. Sounds like good. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are then the end of the agenda. Are there any last minute topics people would like to discuss?
Good.
Cool. Well, it was good to see everyone and good to see 2 new faces. So welcome. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Next meeting
Glad to meet you.
is in 2 weeks' time. Next meeting. So hopefully see you then. Take
See
care,
you then.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.